Hello, my name is Michael, and on the following video I will create a very basic video map on a white cube using Vidvox VDMX. VDMX is a wonderful video tool used to display and manipulate media clips. Video mapping is a projection technique where you digitally change the shape and size of a projected image so that it specifically fits on an irregularly shaped object. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project, and we're going to map this cube using VDMX. I'm going to have to set up some settings that are specific to my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a siphon output real quick, just so that my screen size is appropriate. I'm not going to go into this, but for more information about siphoning, you can go to the VDMX site. You can get the software at VDMX.com also, at Vidvox.com also, and it's there for free, but you can't save your work without the purchase version. So when you want to save the presets that you create, you'll need to purchase it. But for this tutorial, you would just need the purchased or the downloaded version. So download and install it now. So let's get started. Here we got the basic setup in VDMX, and this is the screen that you'd have when you start a new project without the siphon in that I've created. This is the screen you'll have when you start a new project in VDMX. Basically, it's just a media bin where your clips will be kept. A workspace inspector over here is where you'll find the tools that you would need to create a custom workspace, and an output window which we'll need to send to the projector. We're going to first create a preview window in the plugin selection so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So once we have the output going to the projector, I'm going to pull up a preview window to show you the live feed of what I'm doing. I have a video camera going into VDMX using a Blackmagic style of connection to the computer. For more information on using live inputs with VDMX, there's a tutorial on the Vidvox site called Live Inputs and Cameras. For now, I'll skip the details and just do it by control-clicking in my media bin and assigning the clip to receive my live input. There are several ways to accomplish this, so be sure to check out the Vidvox tutorials so that you'll know your options. So now what you'll see in the foreground is my white cube that I'll be mapping. What we're going to do is map the projections so that the three visible sides on the cube will be showing the individual layers of visuals. To do this, first we'll need 3 more layers of video, which I'll create in the Workspace Inspector by going to the Layers and clicking the plus button 3 times, one for each layer. Now we have 4 layers, one for the live input that I'm showing you on the screen, one for the top of the cube, one for the right side of the cube, and one for the left. So I'll rename my layers live, top, right, and left. Next, so that the layer won't be visible on our final project, I'm going to go ahead and hide the live composition of the first layer by clicking hide in the compositions mode. That makes it so that there's nothing being projected, and whenever we work with our layers, we'll just be seeing the top, right, and left layer. Next, I'll need to gather the media that I'll be playing on the cube. Again, I'm going to refer you to the Vidvox tutorials for more information on loading media. But the way I'm going to do it is by dragging a folder I created that contains the media from the desktop to the media bin. Now I have access to the clips that I'll be playing on the surface of the cube. Once that's done, I'll set up my 3 layers and I'll map them to the cube itself. First, I'm going to create a media bin for the 3 layers that I'm working with. I'll do this by going to the plugins selection and then adding these media bins by going to the plus down here and clicking media bin 2 more times so that I have 3 media bins in all. Next, I'm going to resize my media bins so that they don't take up so much surface of the screen. Clean up my workspace a little bit. That's one of the really good things about VidVox VDMX is the customization of your workspace. You have a lot of options over here in this plugin section. Each one of these plugins represent a different controller that can be used to manipulate the media. I'm going to start by just setting these up and selecting the cube selection on the left hand side of the screen, and then I'm going to assign my media bins to the layer that I want them to react with. This will be my top, media bin 2 will be my right, media bin 3 will be my left. Next, I'll need to gather my compositions windows, which is where my actual mapping is going to take place. I do this by clicking on the layer that I want to find a compositions layer for. When you do that, it pulls up your source, effects, and compositions windows. In order to separate the window from the others and make it stay on board, you're going to click the squares up in the top corner. We're going to do this for each layer. That was our top, here's our right, and here's our left. Now that I have a composition window for each layer, I'm going to go ahead and set them all up to quad. Okay, now that we have a media bin for each layer and we have the quad selected in the composition window for each layer, the next step is going to be to map the specific layers to the project. In order to do this, we'll need to make it visible by clicking the Hide and Show button on the right hand side of the window for the corresponding composition layer. As soon as we have that, we will be able to, as long as we're in the quad section, remember that there's a difference in the rect and the quad section. Here, we'll be able to see the corners that work as handles in order for us to pull our, let me make it bigger. This is probably easiest with a big window. So now we'll be able to pull our corner looking at the actual cube itself right here and map it directly onto it, matching each corner on this left hand side to the left hand side of the cube. See how I'm looking at the projection itself in order to see where this corner is going to land. And then whenever I put it there and lock it in, then this layer will be its own video section that will go on that corner of the cube. And there is the first side. And what we're going to do is shrink this window back to a normal size and then make the next layer, media bin 2, which is the right side of the composition. I'm going to make that one bigger now and show it. Now that we should be able to see it, we'll drag it over. Actually, first we need to select that. Now that we have it on our screen, You can drag it to the right part of the screen on the projection surface using the handles. As you can see, these corner handles do a scaling, and the smaller handles, which you get to by clicking on the black, and so you can handle just 1/4. So now I'm going to map this side to the right side of the cube. Using the surface as my guide. So I'm looking at the cube. I'm not even looking at my screen when I'm dragging these handles around, because I have to see where they're landing on the surface of the cube. So there's the right side. Now that we have it that far, we're going to go ahead and shrink this back, and now we're going to finish by working out the top level. Do the same thing in here. Grab the black corner. Whenever it's yellow, you're holding it, and then you're going to move it into position. Make sure it's visible. I'm going to get it into a good place where I can drag it down to the top of my cube, which is right here. We want to fill this part with this surface that I'm working with right now. I'm going to move it until I can see it on it. Now that I have visibly confirmed that it's on the screen, I'm able to move it into its respective location. We have all three sides that are visible on the top, left, and right. We're able to go into our media bin and select the different media that we'd like to show on each layer. This was a very quickly done one. There are way more complicated ways of mapping and enjoying the projections with mapping capabilities, but what we've accomplished just now is a very basic general video map of a cube. Now we can make it so that every side has the same thing by clicking on the same clip. Now our clips match on each side, or we can make it so that each side is showing something differently. VDMX. So there's my brief cube mapping tutorial for VDMX. For more information, check out the VidVox tutorials. And to learn more about what VDMX has to offer, check out the Visual Performance program at www.dubspot.com. I hope this has been very informative. Have a nice day.